So Ezra's going to review the. Let's review the facts. Gemara Yud Aleph and Aleph. So we can try to answer this machlokes between Rav and Shmuel. Everyone has to pay attention, please, so we can get the facts down, and then we can start discussing what you guys have been thinking. All right, which I know today we're going to come up with a beautiful idea. So Ezra, take it away.
Okay, the Gemara, the Mishnah talks about one who trellises a vine upon his sukkah while it is still yet attached to his to the ground.
Okay, what's the problem with that?
So the issue is that with that is Taaseh Velo HeAsui.
No.
Yes.
No. What's the just the Mechubar? Just take the Mishnah. The problem is the Mechubar.
In the earth.
Right. You cannot use schach that's attached to the ground. You can't. You can't take a branch. You can't. Well, it's not branch. You can't take a tree and bend it over your sukkah.
I don't understand where we get.
So just give the facts. Just give me the facts. So what's what the Mishnah says?
We'll go into Mechubar later. Okay. So the Mishnah says it's puzzle. Yeah, it's puzzle, and someone says. But if you have more schach, more kosher schach than the vine, then it's kosher.
Or
if you cut it.
Kosher. Okay, and that's going to be the focus here, cutting it. Yes. Okay.
Okay, so now the Gemara goes into a whole thing and whatever. There's a dispute about who says what, but in the end, Shmuel says that you do ktsitsa plus nanua, which is shaking it. Which Rashi defines as lifting each one individually and then placing it back on.
Okay, good.
And that will make it kosher schach.
Okay.
And Rav argues and says, no, you just have to do ktsitsa and that's enough. And Rashi clarifies that as gemar asiyasa.
Good. And what are Rashi's little crumbs that he gives us by Shmuel?
Well, he says it's karov listira. Right?
Karov listira.
Karov listira. Our question was, why doesn't he just do full
right, and that's the other question. The question, right, in which he says, I mean, Rashi, it's just unbelievable how verbose he is, but he says, you don't have to go back and take off all the vines and start all over again. Okay? Right? So that's what Rashi says. That's what you would have thought. You would have thought I got to take off all my vines, right? Everything, all the schach, and rebuild the sukkah. All right? Kamash Malan to know, like Ezra's saying very well, that you don't have to do that. That what you have to do is nanua, because it's karov listirahu shemagbia kol echad levada, right? So why not? Why don't you do stira? So what do you guys say? Is everyone clear with the facts?
Yes.
Are we ready to enter Svarland? Take a stab at it.
Sitza.
No, let me soak everything in one step at a time. Okay. So let's is everyone on the same page with this? By the way,
yeah.
This is like the group.
Well, this was like a three-way argument.
Now we're talking. So now, if you put up the vines, you guys are all saying perfectly. It's beautiful. Putting up the vines, right? According to Rav, is going to have to be some sort of act of binyan. Right? You're involved in... Wait a second, I'll show you why. You're involved in bona... Well, we know that. You're involved in binyan of the sukkah. Okay? Right? Right. And what's the consequence of that? He must therefore be saying that the schach that's on top of the sukkah, even though it's puzzle, it still registers as something. That's what you have to work with.
So part of Taaseh.
All right, but what's the chiddush he's saying? What's the amazing chiddush he's saying? What happens when you do ktsitsa?
They're finishing the same.
You're finishing the binyan, right? But one second. No, but you finished it. But one second. But what's so amazing? What he's saying?
You also removed the HeAsui.
Right. But yet, what have you done though? What have you done through? It's not. Let me ask you a question. Is ktsitsa an act of binyan? No.
He's doing an act.
The movement of HeAsui.
Right, which means remove the asay. Correct.
Which allows them.
What? What do you mean? So what's Rav's far? Rav is saying that, and this is a big chiddush. Rav is saying that you would think that Taaseh means to do what?
To binyan.
To do bona. To physically build it. He's saying no. He's saying that.
It's not just
he's saying there's another way to look at binyan. Binyan includes something else.
Right,
that even though all I'm doing is I'm removing a psul, right? But that's part of the process of binyan. But I agree. I know.
This is more defined.
Yeah. Well, you guys were on tape. What you guys were saying was beautiful. I'm just trying to put it all together. There was Rob. Be quiet. Rob is saying that. And it's amazing chiddush because it's not a physical thing. He's saying that the removal of the psul of mechubar is considered in his framework an act of binyan. It's a binyan, right? Talk it out again. So that's approved, right? Okay. So again, so when I go ahead and I put the schach on top, the puzzle schach. So I put schach. I built a sukkah, right? It's puzzle, right? So when I do the ktsitsa itself's not a ma'aseh binyan, But the removal of the psul, according to Rav, is considered an act of binyan. It's not a physical binyan; it's a halachic binyan. Right? Because what am I bona now? I've now produced what? I produced schach.
Right.
Okay, so I have produced schach. Right. Have I physically done it? No, but I've halachically produced schach. And he's saying that's
Less
part of the
more. Right.
He's saying that's the process of binyan. Right?
Sure.
Now, so Dylan's right. The rayas are gemara. Those are the clues he gives you. Gemara asiyasan, right? Psikas and zu asiyasan. What do you mean asiyasan? He's saying that the removal of a psul, even though physically I haven't done anything, but changing the chalosh shem of the schach is considered part of the process of binyan. All right. But there's another reason why you have to say that though, because now this should give away Shmuel. So what? Exactly. What's Shmuel saying? Step one. According to Shmuel, then, when I put the vines on top of the sukkah, have I done anything?
No.
No. There's no taaseh.
Moving the vine.
There's no taaseh, right? Because we know that. So all I have are vines on a hut. I have a hut in front of me. I don't have a sukkah.
No. So I would say,
according to Shmuel, okay, when I put the vine on top of the sukkah, I've done nothing, right? Because it's chach pasol, right? When I cut it,
what's it? Shmuel?
According to Shmuel, I've done nothing.
I just say that. Why can't you just say because it's?
It's pasuk because it's mechubar. When I put schach mechubar onto my sukkah, according to Shmuel, I've done nothing. Why? Because it's pasuk, not because of asoi, because it's mechubar. When I cut it now, what have I now done when I cut it? Well, it's no longer schach pasuk, but now I have to deal with asoi.
Or does it fulfill the entirety of the requirement?
Yes. According to Rav, when I cut that schach, okay, now what I've done are two things. I wouldn't call them simultaneously, but two things that happen at one after the other. One is I've removed what? What have I removed? Chal Shem Psul. And in doing
it's just not a chuppah anymore.
That means it's not. Yes, it's not puzzle anymore.
Okay.
It's not puzzle. And in doing that action does one at the same time.
Also,
by doing that, now what have I done? I've removed any idea of not that I've completed the taaseh. There is no asur that ever emerges.
That's not Shmuel.
Right. That's Rav. Right, there's never been a point in time, according to Rav, that it's ever an issue of asur. What is it asur? The haystack. The haystack's asur because built into it is be'elav. When I dig that hole out, it's always asur. But according to here, because again, Gemara Asiyasan, I started the process by doing it, and now what happens when I cut it? I now completed the taaseh. There's never a moment of asui.
That difference seems very.
Let's be clear. When I go ahead, when I bore out the hole in the haystack, what have I done?
Bored a hole.
Bored a hole, right? Have I done?
You left walls and schach that is.
I left something. I didn't make the schach. Right, I didn't make schach by digging a hole.
You dug stuff out.
I dug stuff out.
Right.
So the Gemara is telling you that's the axiom.
You cut stuff.
We're not ready to find the axiom yet.
Slice stuff out.
I know, but I haven't done any action of building. There's been no building action that's taken place. I haven't done a taaseh. Right, taaseh would mean I take my schach and I put it on top. Right. By the case of the
Gadish,
Gadish,
fix a sukkah covering.
Exactly. So everything emerged from the digging of the hole. It emerged from it. I didn't do something to it. It emerged from the thing. That's taaseh v'naseh. Right? That's what makes it asui. But here, according to Rav, there's never a moment in time where I ever have an actual asui. Because it was taaseh, right? I did it. It just, there's a defect in it. The removal of a defect is the completion of taaseh. Gemara Asiyasan.
Not a circumstance where asui could have emerged.
By the
taaseh emerged.
Right, exactly. Well, he's saying he's not concerned about that because there was always
taaseh case.
Right. Okay, fine. Shmuel says no. Shmuel says, one second. I go ahead and we haven't defined Shmuel yet. I'm just trying to get that step down. I have put my vines on top of the sukkah, right? What have I done? I've put vines on top of a hut. I haven't done anything halakhically. Nothing registers, right? It's mechubar, it's chach pasuk. I haven't done anything. I haven't done an act of building. There's no taaseh. There is no taaseh. Now what happens? I cut the schach. So now I have schach that is kosher, right? But have I done a ma'aseh binyan?
Nope.
No, I've done a ma'aseh binyan, right? So what do I have to now do? What's the problem? What problem now? There's the tzitza, amazingly so according to Shmuel, the cutting of the schach it's very good. It removes the psul, but what does it not do?
Taaseh.
Right, or even better, it's now you have to deal with asui. You have to deal with asui now. Now you have the asui schach.
Well, I would even say that cutting is it smells very much like min asui.
No,
I'll
describe it. Well, I'll describe it even better. According to Shmuel, it's an amazing thing. According to Shmuel, the moment I cut the schach, I'm in my sukkah, okay, and let's say my son's outside and he cuts the schach, okay. You got to be really. This is really out there, okay, abstract wise. But I'm in the sukkah. The moment he cuts that schach, before when he cut the schach is up there, what do I have? I have Nothing. Halacha says I have nothing. I have vines. Okay. The moment that schach gets cut, well, now I have schach. The schach itself is kosher. The chefs is kosher. Of course it is. What's the raya? No, if I took that schach, and I put on someone else's sukkah, it'd be good sukkah.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with the schach itself. But I'm looking at it now because it was on there. Because when it was put on there, when it was put on top of the schach, on top of the sukkah, what was its status? Nothing.
So what's also right now? Your sukkah.
No, it wasn't even the sukkah. It wasn't even the sukkah.
Okay, so
one psul is in the schach itself. What's the other psul?
Like the material.
It's not the material.
It isn't. No. That's the first one. Is like you're calling it schach itself. Fine. The second one is.
You said it before.
The conception of schach.
How the schach came about. Okay. Not in the
schach on the sukkah.
Right.
It's how schach on the sukkah.
From what's right from
how sukkah schach.
And what word I'm looking? Which is lacking in what we said by Rob also. It's lacking in binyan. It's lacking in binyan. That's nothing to do with the chefs of the schach. It has to do with binyan. So what's Shmuel's svara? Again.
You need not know it's having Mesa binyan.
Okay, but we still have to answer the question of Stira, but Yaakov's making the right step. Now, what are you going to have to say? Well, whatever non-nua is, you know it's one thing for sure.
Binyan.
It's some sort of binyan. That's why you need it. It's some sort of binyan.
Kosher for this sukkah schach.
Well, hold on. But some sort of binyan. Okay, so now, but what the Havina was, very good. If Taaseh means I haven't done a Maisa binyan, so what's the real Maisa binyan? What would real Maisa binyan be? Take it off and do a Maisa binyan. Take off all the schach and bone it. Build it. Right now it's very good. What am I lacking in so far as the sukkah is concerned? I never did a Taaseh. And what's Taaseh mean? A Maisa binyan. I never built it. So what do I have to do? I got to build the thing. So there's only one way to build it. Take off the schach and put it back on again. Next step would therefore be what? How do you get? You're right. So quantitative. I don't think he means that it's kind of like building, because then that gets kind of strange. Then your problem is a good problem. Degrees of building, that's kind of strange. Karvastir, I think, is a halachic category. What do you have to do now? Ezra's on the right track. What do you have in this case here that's different than any other case you have by sukkah? The Rashi assumed all along that what's the problem here? It's a problem in Taaseh, right? I didn't do Taaseh at all, right? There's no reality of Taaseh. I need a positive Maisa of Taaseh, and there's only one way to do that according to Rashi's Havamina. I take holding off and do Taaseh.
Well, really,
the problem is
so
thank you.
And that's why all you need to do is create two discrete entities. You just need to create a little bit of separation.
Be quiet for a second. What happens when I cut this schach? Okay, when I cut it from the ground, what happens now?
You just release the psul from Gedolim and Arts.
Right. I've removed the psul. Okay. Yeah. So Shmuel's chiddush here, according to Rashi's way of learning, Shmuel's chiddush is a very brilliant chiddush. Okay. When I remove the psul, what have I now done? I created schach kasher.
Yeah.
Right. I've created a hechsher now, so to speak. But I made it schach kasher. Okay. Yeah. So what he's saying is, but now what do I have? What do I have on top of the sukkah? It's not that it's lacking in Taaseh.
Right.
It's not. It's that.
Follow him in also.
It's now it's asui. Okay. So all I have to do is I have to do a ma'aseh binyan, but I just have the ma'aseh binyan that does what? That removes the shame asui. I don't have to do a ma'aseh. I don't have to do a Taaseh. He's saying that the fact that and it's an amazing thing. This is his chiddush. He's saying normally what you're thinking is I got to do an actual Taaseh. I got to take the whole thing off. He's saying no. The chiddush of Shmuel is I just have to do. I know what your question about that, but all I have to do is I have to remove the shame asui, and the shame asui emerges from what? The cutting of the schach that's what do you call attached to the ground. It becomes asui the moment I cut it from the ground.
And how do you remove it?
The asui.
Don't tell me definitively how you remove it.
How to remove asui?
Yeah.
Nanua. That's his chiddush.
Well, what does nanua do, conceptually speaking?
It's a ma'aseh binyan.
How?
It's a ma'aseh binyan to remove asui.
How?
By karev l'stira. I'm taking it up and up.
Well, what does that separation do?
I
say create two street.
I understand what you're saying. What Dylan's saying is like this. No, I know what you're saying. You're saying is that how is it? I know what your question is. I know your question is. Well, how is that like a ma'aseh binyan? How is that like a ma'aseh binyan?
How's it actually?
So you're right. So I'll tell you. No, so you're right. So what's karev l'stira mean? So this is. I'm not as concerned about this point, but it is a valid point to make. In other words, what he's saying is that, but it has the same surah as stira. Yeah. What is stira? Stira means I take the thing off completely and put it back on. So this has the same structure because you're taking. That's why he says he's specific. You take each one off and put it back on again. Each one off because you're. What are you doing? You're breaking the relationship, the physical relationship between the schach and the sukkah. So every time I do that, I'm breaking the relationship of it, right?
And there goes Asui.
There goes Asui. But Taaseh would require what? An actual putting on a schach.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe.
Let's review it slowly. Okay. The starting point is Taaseh seems to be an idea in Bona. I'm building a sukkah.
Wow,
Okay?
that's a starting point for you.
It was a starting point for me. Right? So now you jump to Rav. So what must Rav be saying? So the first step I wanted to take was that the Rav must be saying that when I put the gefanos onto the sukkah, so you must say that I have schach. I mean, I've done a taaseh, right? It's just that it's lacking. It's not schach that's kosher. I made a defective sukkah. I made a sukkah that's puzzle. Okay. Why did I say that? Because Rashi says Gemara Asiyasan. He's implying that there was some registering of my taaseh in the halachic system. So now, what does tzitza do? Tzitza does what? It removes the psul. And in removing the psul, now what have I done? The removal of psul is the completion of the taaseh. There's no asui according to him. It's never a point in asui according to Rav. That's the beauty of his position. There was never a moment in time where this schach was asui. It was always taased. It just wasn't completed. So, but that whole concept is based on one premise. The idea of bona here is not a physical building. It's not physical. Rather, it's what? It's to remove. You can even have a halachic or abstract idea of bona. The removal of the psul of mechubar is an act of binyan according to Rav. Okay,
It's abstract.
It's abstract. Yeah, it's an abstract binyan. Okay, I think the way I put it here. One second, I said I had a better way. I said
Does the word abstraction?
Hold on, I said that. What was it?
So fake laugh.
Right. No, fine. That's good. Okay. So the action. So the Maisa Hechsher, the action of making, not the cutting, not the abstract action of making the schach into schach kasher, is now considered part of the Taaseh, part of the binyan process. Okay. Shmuel says no. Shmuel says Taaseh. Again, you got to start with the point where they are closest together, and then you branch out. Taaseh is really a physical idea, right? It's binyan. I have to build it. I'm bona it, right? So if he says that, well, now there's a lot of consequences. Step one, well, when I put the vines on top of the sukkah, have I done any Taaseh? No. I put vines on a sukkah. I haven't done. It's not schach puzzle. They're vines, right? You can't use these things for what? As long as they're mechuber, you can't use them as schach. They don't register as schach whatsoever. Oh, so now what happens when I cut the schach? What happens at that point? Okay, I've now done what? I've removed the mechubar, so now it's not schach puzzle anymore. Right. But now, in that very moment in time, what do I have? What kind of schach do I have on top of my sukkah right now? Also schach. Okay, so now what would you think?
Right.
You would think, well, you would think that I have to do an action of building to remedy the situation, a taaseh, right? And what would that require? A ma'aseh binyan. And therefore, what's a ma'aseh binyan? Got to take the holding off, put it back on again. Kamash one that no. All that taaseh means what? Taaseh, to make sure it's not asui, to remove the asui, to remove the asui. So as long as that's what this idea of karvostir is, when I take each thing off and put it back on again, what am I doing? I am removing the shame asui. That's Shmuel.